My plane lands in Ho Chi Minh City right around midday, and immediately after stepping outside, I feel the tropical warmth surround me like a comforting, if slightly suffocating blanket. It takes me a few breaths to adjust to the change in temperature, and I begin my search for my friend and soon-to-be tour guide named Viet. When I see him waving excitedly, I get that giddy sensation of adventure that travel in new places never fails to deliver. So, Viet is an old friend that I met a few years ago while we were both traveling abroad.
I told Kelly that if she ever wants to visit Ho Chi Minh City, I would show her around the city.
So, I showed up.
I already got a great itinerary for the next week.
All right.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Ho Chi Minh City is home to more than 10 million people and is Vietnam's largest city, as well as the economic hub of the country with a diverse range of architectural styles. One such iconic piece of architecture is Independence Palace, the first place Viet and I visit on our tour of the city. So today marks the first day of my visit to Ho Chi Minh City, and although I've just arrived, I'm already loving the feel of this place. The warmer weather makes for a relaxed pace, and there's still a lot of excitement and energy with all there is to do. The traffic on the way from the airport was a little crazy, but the nice wide streets kind of keep it flowing nicely. I'm really excited to explore more of this city, and I'm going to start today with a visit to Independence Palace. Independence Palace, designed by architect Viet is a well-known fixture in the city. Two harmoniously combined modern and traditional Oriental architecture with open space, sharp angles, and purposeful positioning of furniture. Stone curtains bearing the shape of bamboo joints enclose the second floor, adding beauty and eastern rising sunlight to the palace. In 1962, the president of Saigon administration, Ngo Dinh Diem, decided to have the palace rebuilt from the original French construction of earlier years. He, however, did not live to see the completion of his project in 1966. From that time, Nguyen Van Thieu, Diem's successor, carried out controversial policies in the palace, which served as the central organ of the Saigon administration. The ground floor is comprised of a banquet room, cabinet meeting room, and conference hall. It is in the latter that on April 30th, 1975, the last president of Saigon administration, Nguyen Van Minh, unconditionally surrendered to the Southern Provisional Revolutionary Government of Vietnam. The well-rehearsed story of this surrender echoes in the giant room of velvet chairs and portrait of Ho Chi Minh. The office of the president, the international reception room, and the credentials presentation room are on the next floor. Also found in this room are elephant tusks taken from a villager in the forests of central Vietnam, and two dark blue vases with gold-plated rims from the early 19th century. The vases depict the dragon dance and lantern parade of the Mid-Autumn Festival. These vases are just a few examples of the highly photographed objects and spaces that draw so many to the palace every day. The austere decor of the palace gives it a definite air of importance, and it's hardly a struggle to imagine the formalities exchanged between these walls. Two tanks, number 843 and 390 respectively, were the first two tanks to plow through the palace gates on April 30th, 1975, to mark the end of 30 years of war. Independence Palace has a great deal of significance for the modern history of Vietnam and the reunification of the country in 1975. Just down the street is the War Remnants Museum, which is another great place to find out more about the history of Vietnam. The War Remnants Museum is listed as a Museum for Peace by UNESCO. Peace, however, is perhaps not the first word that comes to mind as one enters the museum with its monument-like tanks and helicopters in the front courtyard. Walking past these ominous machines sets the somber tone for this experience of remembering the American War in Vietnam. In a carefully guided way, each floor of the museum serves its particular function. The second floor, the Requiem Room, houses black and white images taken by war photographers. The photo essay of Larry Burroughs from 1965 is one such collection, depicting the trip of a young soldier on helicopter Yankee Papa 13. Another is that of Bernard Kohlenberg, that captures the moment of a small child abandoned and sitting in the middle of the street while troops march past fully equipped. The photo was taken in 1965 outside of Ben Mae Thuot in the central region. In another, a Vietnamese mother and her children wade across a river to escape bombs from an airstrike. The photo was taken by Kiowachi Sawada in Quy Nhon, Vietnam, and is a 1965-1966 Pulitzer Prize-winning photograph. On the second floor of Aggressive War Crimes, the simplicity of the stained white culvert in one corner of the museum is often overlooked by passing visitors.
One night, 25 February 1969, Bob Carey in the wartime he was lieutenant and he led sick order to a small village in Ben Tre province and at her he killed 21 people by shot and cut the head by starved children, and in this sure 2 children were living here and they ran out and starving them. Until 2001, Bob Carey, when he elected by himself to be president, he was discovered and remembered by his friend, and after that he had to admit by himself.
With any war, it's impossible to imagine the violence and suffering that people endure. I think that the sewer makes it a lot more personal by bringing in one man's experience and one family's suffering, and it's kind of overwhelming.
The ground floor reinforces the world's opposition to the war by displaying photos and documents of protest. As another means of making past tragedies relevant to the present, the museum dedicates one section to victims of Agent Orange to meet visitors and display some handicrafts, as well as, it turns out, some techno beats. After buying a blue flower pin, I meet with a few people and talk with them about their daily life. Lê Van Bin, born in 1983, is all smiles as he smoothly chats up visitors and collects email addresses. Nicknamed Michael Jackson for his talented singing, Bin reveals his future goal of developing his own music. Visiting this museum is a powerful experience. The photos tell an important story that opens up a lot of questions and discussions. After the War Remnants Museum, Kiep takes me to another popular stop for tourists, Dragon House Wharf, or Ben Nha Dom.
Cool. We'll walk over here now? Yeah. Okay. So I'm standing in the place where 100 years ago Ho Chi Minh set off on a journey to find a way to liberate Vietnam and gain independence for the country.
Right, actually he went to many countries in the world and he was abroad for 30 years.
Cool. I'm interested to learn more in the museum.
So let's go.
All right.
Nha Dom was built in 1863 by a French maritime transportation company. Without a doubt, the most distinguished traveler from this port is 21-year-old Nguyen Tat Tan, who, at the time of his departure in 1911, went by Van Ba, Ho Chi Minh's name, when he traveled by ship to France. Ho Chi Minh lived there for a period of time before continuing his journey to many other countries, including Great Britain, Russia, and China, eventually returning to Vietnam in 1941. Nha Dom Wharf offers a detailed history of his life, family, education, struggle for liberation, and ceaseless dedication to his homeland. For instance, objects like the brick encased behind glass, the one that Ho Chi Minh used to warm his feet while living in Paris, can make the man into a larger-than-life figure. After inspecting the one-century-old lacquer painting and the model of Ho Chi Minh's first house in Saigon, we take a moment to enjoy the view of the river. The water's calm is contrasted by the frenzied city it hugs, a place developing more and more each day.